Hi, I'm Mrs.D Math. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to go over percent increase and decrease in 7th grade math. So let's go ahead and get started. So in order to find the amount of percent increase or decrease, we're going to use a percent proportion. We did cover those in the last video, so this time we're going to still have percent over 100, but the other side of our actual formula is going to be the amount of change. So that's going to be the change or the increase or decrease from the original. So that's going to go over the original amount. So we're going to go ahead with an example here. And we have James' football team, and they won 20 games last season, and they've won 24 games this season. We want to know what is the percent of increase from last season to the current season. So we're going to use our formula that we have, and we know that they won 20 games last season, so that's going to be our original amount. They won 24 games this season, and so in order to find the amount of change for that numerator, we're going to subtract the two, and so I know that it was 4 more this season than last season. I need to figure out what percent that 4 more games represents. So that's what we're trying to figure out. And for this one, it doesn't matter whether you're increasing or decreasing. In order to get your numerator here, you're always going to subtract the two numbers because you want to find the difference there, and then the denominator is always going to be your original amount. So we're going to go ahead and solve this. So I can see here that 20 goes into 100 times 5, and I do know with the proportion that it's going to have the same rate of change or the same scale factor. So I'm also going to multiply the top number times 5 in order to get my percent. So here I can see that my percent equals 5 times 4, which is 20%. So that means that the team won 20% more games this season than last season. So now let's go on to purchasing something, and a jacket that normally costs $56 is on sale for $42. We want to know what percent off the sale price is. So this is an example of a decrease. So I need to find out what percent that decrease represents. So we're going to set up our proportion here. And I don't have a percent, so I'm going to still put my percent over 100. And anytime you don't have your percent, you can either put your percent sign there or you can use a variable to represent the unknown. And then I know that the normal cost is $56, so that's what I started with, was $56. And then it's on sale for $42. So in order to get this numerator here, I'm going to subtract 56 minus 42, which in this case is going to equal 14. So now I know that $14 is the change in price and $56 is the original price, and that's going to equal my percent. So let's go ahead and solve for the percent. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use my cross products. So I'm going to multiply 56 times that percent, which is going to be 56x. And that's going to equal 14 times 100, which I know is 1400. So now I've got to do a little bit of division because my next step is to divide both sides by 56. That side cancels out, and now I need to solve 1400 divided by 56. And I can see here that 1400 divided by 56 is 25. So that means that this was a 25% decrease. So the jacket was 25% off. So we'll try one more example here, and this one includes the percent, so it'll be a little bit different. In 1990, the number of endangered species in the U.S. was 263. By 2000, the number had increased by about 40%. About how many endangered species were in the U.S. in 2000? So this one we're going to set up a little different because we are given our percent. So I do know that the percent, 40, is going to go over 100. And then on the other side, we're going to need to find that increase. And since 263 is my original amount, that's going to go in the denominator. So now I need to find out how many out of 263 that 40% represents. So let's go ahead and we're going to put a variable here, and then we're going to go ahead and solve. I am going to go ahead and use my cross products here. And so then I can set up my problem, and I know that 100x equals 263 times 40. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of math over here. And I can see that 263 times 40 is 10,520, and that equals 100x. So then my last step is going to be to divide both sides by 100. And then I see here that x equals, and if I divide by 100, I'm just moving my decimal over 2 places. So that would be 105.2. And since I can't have 0.2 as an actual number of species, it does say about how many. Now, this represents my 40%. But the question wanted to know about how many endangered species were in the U.S. in 2000. And this 40% represents an increase. So now I'm going to take my 263 that were in 1990, and I'm going to add the 105. I'm going to go ahead and leave off that decimal. And so I'm going to add 105 because that's my increase since 1990. So I'm going to add that up. And that means that there were about 368 endangered species in 2000. So this one again had it a little bit different. We set up with the percent instead of trying to solve for the percent, but then we had to use that information in order to find out the total answer after that increase. So pay attention to 2 things. Make sure you pay attention to the increase or decrease, and then also make sure that you're answering the question and not just solving for the percent or the missing number. I'm Mrs.D Math. This has been Percent Increase and Decrease in 7th grade math. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.